Hey everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of 13-Minute AE Tutorials, where you learn tips, tricks, and shortcuts in 13 minutes or less. No BS, just AE. I'm super excited about this episode because we're going to learn a lot of really cool stuff. Now, the core of this episode is about an expression that's been native to After Effects since about 2018 called create nulls from paths. But, as is common with most of my tutorials, you'll be learning a lot more than that. This episode is full of tips and secret shortcuts. I'll show you how to create the two animations you're seeing now. I'll also show you how to make this character arm using shape layers. We'll touch on the value at time expression, a bit of merge paths, we'll do some pick whipping, and so much more. Please like this video so I can take advantage of that ever-changing, ever-elusive YouTube algorithm. And share this video and my channel with your fellow motion graphic designers so that they can become After Effects gurus just like us. And click the bell so that way you're notified every time I upload a new video. And sign up for my Udemy course, The Power of Shape Layers. It's a comprehensive course that covers literally every aspect of shape layers, and is guaranteed to make you a shape layer rockstar. I've added a table of contents in the description below, so that way you can go back and rewatch sections that you found difficult. Okay, there's a lot to get through, so let's dive right in. Okay, so the first thing, let's pull down a ruler here and put it somewhere right in the middle. Choose layer, new shape layer, and let's go up to our shape layer control up here and choose add, and we're going to add in a path. We'll be making an arm, so we need 3 vertices, one for wrist, elbow, and shoulder. Let's just click this, and then let's go ahead and add in a stroke, and it doesn't matter what color right now. Just want to kind of adjust these so they're not quite all the way to the edges of our screen here. And let's open up our stroke settings. Make our line cap a round cap and our line join a round join. Okay, so we're going to be using create nulls from paths, and the way this works is you have to highlight your path, go up to window, you just want to scroll down until you see create nulls from paths, which is about right here. So create nulls from paths. So if you click that on, you'll see that we get this panel here, create nulls from paths, and we have a few options. We want points follow nulls because we want our points of our path to follow the nulls that we create. So let's just click points follow nulls, and as you can see, we get a null for each point on our path here. So if you click the path, you see these are the points. Click on our nulls, you see that they all are attached to our points. Let's open up what's going to be our elbow and see you can move this around, and it just gives you a lot of control. I want my elbow to be a little bit more rounded. So one of the things you can do with that is if you click on path, right click on this vertex and go to mask and shape path and just choose rotobezier, and now it will be rounded. Let's go ahead and rename these nulls so that way we keep things super organized. This one is going to be our shoulder null. This one is going to be our elbow null. And this first one is going to be our wrist null. Okay, and now I want to attach some hands to this arm. Now, I've already made this pre-comp of hands, so I'm going to drag this in. Let's just go in here real quick so I can show you what I've done. I've got 4 different types of hand movements here. Each one is on 1 frame each. And this is similar to another tutorial I did where I made a character speak, where you have different mouth movements 1 frame apart. It's the same concept, but I'm going to be doing that with hands. So let's go back out to our main comp. And the way this works is right click and choose time, enable time remap. And you want to drag this all the way out, get rid of your second keyframe. First keyframe, right click, and let's toggle it to a hold keyframe. So the thing that's really cool about this is, see, you can just highlight where it says time remap, click 1 or 2. I think 0 was our first one here. So see, you can just toggle through these super quick. 3, 2, 1. So now I need to attach the hand to our arm. Let's drag this over to the front of our arm here. I'm just going to move my anchor point using my pan around tool. So the anchor point's about right here at the wrist. So in order to attach the hand to the arm, we have to go back to create nulls from paths. So just remember to click on path to make sure that's highlighted. And then let's choose trace path. And as you can see, it puts a null right here, but this comes with some settings that are a little bit different. If you hit U, you can see that it puts in these 2 keyframes. And as you'll notice, as you scroll through, it just keeps on going. And the reason for that is if you click EE, you can open up this expression here and it has a loop out cycle. So we don't need any of this actually. So we can just click on the stopwatch for progress to get rid of the keyframes, then alt click on progress to get rid of the expression. Okay, so we don't need any of that. What you want to focus on is this progress right here. So let's make our progress 0. So that way it's at the front of our path here at our wrist. And actually I'm going to move my hand out maybe a little bit further. Now we just need to attach our hand to this trace path. And actually, let's go ahead and rename this trace path to hand attach. And I'm going to move this because this can get confusing up next to our hand. And let's make this the same color. So now if you take your elbow null, hit P, bring up your position and move your position around, you can see how the hand is going to move with the arm. So now I also want to be able to control the size of my arm. So the way you do that, go up to Layer, New, we're going to create a null object. And let's just call this controller. I'm going to bring this above and we're going to attach our wrist, elbow, and shoulder to this controller. So now we can move our arm over and everything is going to move with it. Okay, and now I want to make our arm the same color as our hand. So let's go into our shape layer here. Again, let's rename this to arm. And let's go into our stroke settings and just color pick the color of our hand. Now, you'll notice that there's some shading around this hand, and I want to include that in the arm as well. So click on Contents again and choose Stroke. And then let's just move this stroke to underneath stroke 1. Open the settings up and color pick this shading color here. And now let's just increase our stroke width until we kind of have an outline. And as you'll notice over here on the shoulder, it's not rounded like our main arm layer is. And that's because we rounded out our line cap and line join on stroke 1. So let's just do the same thing for our outline as well. And that way it pops around. So now if you move your elbow, you'll see that it looks just like an arm. Okay, now I want to add a sleeve up there on the shoulder. So let's go up to Layer, New, Shape Layer. We're going to add in a rectangle and let's give it a fill and maybe change it to something a little bit better. And then let's just kind of shape our rectangle path around our arm a little bit. I'm going to move it over here to the shoulder. And I'm going to increase the roundness and now kind of adjust these size settings. You can unclick this constrain button. Now you can move the X and Y values of your size independently. And just maybe come over a little bit. And so I want to cut the sleeve off. And so this is a cool trick you may want to use for other shape layer projects. If you go to Add and add in a rectangle, kind of shape this using our size and position controls, put it about right here at the front of this other rectangle path. Go back at the contents and let's add in a merge paths and then choose for the mode, subtract. So now this rectangle path 2 is chopping off the end of this rectangle path 1. And so you can actually move this and see the effect that it's having. So now I need to attach my sleeve. Let's go ahead and rename that to sleeve. I need to attach my sleeve to my arm because if you move your elbow, it's not even connected. So in the same way that we connected our hand to our arm, we need to connect our sleeve. So let's open up our arm layer here, highlight path, and again, choose trace path. And if you hit U, you see our keyframes. And again, we have this same default expression. We have this loop out cycle. And we want to get rid of all that. So Alt click on progress. And then we also want to get rid of these keyframes. And you want to set your progress to 99. And I'll show you why in just a second. And let's bring this up to where our sleeve is and rename this to sleeve attach. Pick whip our sleeve to sleeve attach. And now if we move our elbow null, we see that it's attached. The reason why I set it to 99 is because, see, if you set it to 100, you get some weird results where it's kind of flipping around. So just make this 99. Okay, and so now you can animate this arm in any way that you want. And see, I've got my hands comp. Hit U to bring up our keyframes. And you can change what you do with your hands. So like maybe you want to start off with a palm out and then let's animate our wrist and our elbow. So we start here and then maybe we're going to end something like that, like up here. And then when it gets to that stopping point, we'll have them do that sign right there. And see how the animation is a little odd because the arm kind of shrinks. What you can do is go about midway between these keyframes and then move your wrist null up a little bit. You can just kind of tweak this. And then see, we want this middle vertex to have a Bezier curve. If you right click on this middle keyframe, go to keyframe interpolation and change your spatial interpolation to Bezier. And see, now you have these handles. So now you just get a little bit more control, something that's a little bit more natural. Maybe move your elbow up a little bit. So you get something kind of like that. And so now you can create an entire character using this. Just highlight your path, use create nulls from paths. And the main ones you want to use are this points, follow nulls, and trace path. Now there is one more thing I want to show you, which I think is super cool. Let's just highlight where it says 65 edit. That's the name of this comp that we're in. Control D to duplicate it and go into that comp. And now let's just get rid of all these keyframes. So now I want to add in something on his arm that's going to kind of give us something that's a little bit more interesting than what we're seeing. Get rid of this second keyframe here. Okay, so I'm going to close all of these up and let's go over to our effects and presets. Now, I've already created a shape layer preset for a tie, and just double click this. You don't need a shape layer whenever you have these presets. If you save a shape layer animation preset, it saves a shape layer with the actual animation. So just double click on tie and we see it pops right in. I'm going to rename this to tie. And then I'm going to position this so it's like right about where my elbow is. And I've already preset my anchor point in the right position. So make sure that your anchor point is at the very top of your layer. And in the same way we attach the hand and the shoulder, we need to attach our tie. So again, let's go down to arm, highlight path, and then choose trace path. And again, if we hit U, we see we have these two keyframes. It goes around and around and around. Alt click progress to get rid of the expression, and then just click on the stopwatch to get rid of the keyframes. Now let's set this progress to about where it's going to be for our tie. Okay, and then let's just rename this to tie attach. I'm going to move this to the very top, and then let's just pick up our tie to the tie attach, make these the same color. Now, if we animate our elbow null, we see that the tie stays attached to the arm. But I want to do something a little bit more interesting with this. So let's duplicate this tie layer. So Control D, and we're going to pull this underneath everything else. And I'll make sure that you parent this tie 2 up to tie 1. So that way it always follows it. And so now I'm going to make an animation where the arm kind of bounces and I want the tie to kind of move with it. And the way we do that is let's open up the rotation settings for our tie attach and the rotation settings for our tie. And then let's just pick whip the rotation of tie to tie attach. Open up our expression here. At the very beginning of the expression, type R equals. So go down to rotation and then we're going to type value at time. And so this is going to tell the tie to rotate slightly behind the arm. So that way we get kind of a bouncing feel. Time minus 0.1. So it's going to be slightly behind our arm movement and it'll give it a more natural kind of rotation. And then let's type a semicolon, hit return, R times -1. That way our tie will stay pointed down. See, this expression is referencing the tie attach rotation. As we move this elbow null, our tie attach is rotating. And so now our tie is moving in the opposite direction. Go down to our tie 2, hit R, alt click on rotation, and we can just type time times -1. So this back tie layer will be moving in the opposite direction of our tie layer. This will all make sense in just a second. So let's just go ahead and add in an animation here. Put a keyframe for position, shift page down to go for 10 frames. Let's go down pretty deep, shift page down to go another 10 frames. And we'll go in the opposite direction. And then let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we'll come down, but not quite as far. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Same thing, go up, but not quite as far. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and just set it to 0. Just highlight all of these keyframes, right click, and you can choose Keyframe Assistant, Easy Ease. And then let's highlight the second keyframe. That's the first main keyframe that it comes down to. Go into our graph editor and just pull these handles all the way over. So the movement we get is something kind of like this. And as you can see, our tie is kind of bouncing around as the arm goes up and down. Go to this tie 2 layer and hit S for scale and let's increase it. Go up to effect, add a fill. And I'm just going to choose this sleeve color so that way it's that dark blue. And see, I want it to move in the opposite direction. And that's what it should be doing right now, but it's not. So let's see what we can do. So if we take off this expression for the tie rotation, and then let's just pick whip our rotation of our tie up to tie attach. And as you remember, our tie layer is going in the opposite direction because we have this R times -1. We can leave our tie 2 layer just as it is, where it's going to follow the rotation of the tie attach. So now you kind of get this movement where the tie is kind of flopping around, and as one goes one direction, the back goes in the opposite direction. Okay, so this is just one application of create nulls from paths. You can do some really cool animations for characters. You can animate arms and legs. You can actually create an entire character using create nulls from paths. It just gives you a lot of control over animating the points on your path. I hope that helped you out. Please comment, like, share, and subscribe. And click the bell so that way you're notified every time I upload a new video. Please share this video and my channel with your fellow motion graphic designers so that they can become After Effects gurus just like us. And please, tell me what you learned from this episode. And sign up for my Udemy course, The Power of Shape Layers. It's a comprehensive course that covers literally every aspect of shape layers. And is guaranteed to make you a shape layer rockstar. The link to that course and to the project files for this episode are in the description below. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll see you next time.